How we doing, Panther fans? How are we doing? Enjoying a little bit of downtime here, a couple of days off. You see the subject of today's video. We got some good things to talk about, and some things that long term might bring a little bit of a concern. Before we get started, don't forget tomorrow the podcast, Flying Fluffy Sports podcast, starts. That's going to be out early tomorrow because I'm going to record it as soon as I'm done here with this video. I'm going to go ahead and record tomorrow's today, so it's going to be out earlier in the morning. That is for YouTube members and Patreon supporters. And then I will put out a clip every day from the podcast to give a little bit of extra content for the channel, let you know what I can't speak. To let you know what that podcast is about. Links are in all the descriptions if you'd like to join the Patreon memberships or the YouTube memberships. Let's get into the video. So I'm not saying it's over. Don't get me wrong, okay? I'm not saying that this season is over. However, we need to start looking forward to next season. What can we start putting together? Where are the holes? And of course, a lot of this is fluid. You know, there's some people that think we might try to clear up some cap space. I've kind of thought that idea was Cocoa Puffs a little bit. Looking at some of the things coming on in the next couple of years, there's no moves, there's no good moves that I would really like right now. But we'll get into some of the possibilities and some of the reasons why there could be some surprises along the way, or we could just continue to wing it year by year. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show what I see next year as what I would like our forward situation to look like. And just, I'm going to pop it up here. Okay, so Verhaeghe, Barkov, Duke. Obviously, this is depending upon Duclair coming back healthy, looking like himself. Okay, now you've got the second line there with Bennett and Tkachuk. I'd like to go with the third line of Lundell, Reinhart, and Denisenko. I know he hasn't scored yet, but I believe in that kid from what I've seen and how he's going to play. And we just can't fill every hole with an experienced, expensive veteran. Now, Luosterainen I have back on the fourth line there. That is not a knock on him, but we had a spectacular fourth line with him at 4C. He's not really scoring a whole lot on wing right now. And I think if we can leave this center group intact, you look at that fourth line with Luosterainen, Lomberg, and Smith, that's smoking. That's smoking hot. That gives us an advantage most nights against a lot of teams' fourth line. As you see there, I've got a hole at 2LW. Second line, the left wing spot. Now, all right. Now, we're not going to have a boatload of money to go after any supremely high-priced left wingers. And I thought about looking at the free agent left wings right now, but I figure let's not even waste our time with that until after the trade deadline comes and goes, because you never know who's going to be moving and where they're going to be. You know, there may be a guy right now that looks like he might be available, and then he gets traded to a team that he loves. So there's no sense in looking at that. But in terms of the forward group, that to me is the best way to go in terms of who we have already under contract. Now, we do need to sign Denisenko to a contract. I'm going to get into this with a few guys. He does need a contract. I'm hopeful that if he continues to play this well, as he has, and we can keep him out there on the ice while we're in a playoff race, I'm hopeful that we'll wake up one day to a George Richards article about Denisenko getting like a 2-year contract extension. Doesn't need a ton of money. Give him a little bump and set him in there next to Lundell at 3, on the third line. I think he fits there. I think he would fit with Lundell's style. I know right now we have Lundell up there at left wing. I don't think we want to keep that permanent. But we've had so many injuries and everything that I think it's just been mandatory. Now, let's get to the not so pretty part. Let me come over here and I present to you, where is it? Yeah, let's go here. I'm over on Cap Friendly, putzing around. This is where we get into the weeds with our defense. Okay. We need to figure out what we're going to do with Radko Gudas. Josh Maher is on a 1-year deal. Mark Stahl is on a 1-year deal. So right now, under contract for next season, we have Montour, Forsling, and Ekblad. And Forsling and Montour, next year is the last year of their deals. Okay. So this defense, and that is why I've kind of left the forward group as intact as possible, because we got issues in terms of long-term, in terms of defense. I'm kind of surprised and a little bit concerned that we haven't extended Radko Gudas yet, because I'm a little bit leery there that might be a trade option, especially since we picked up. Now, here's our non-roster, basically our minor league defense. We picked up Casey Fitzgerald, which I love. But if you notice right here, in our system, we have 2 right defensemen. We have 2 right-handers, and Gudas is a right-handed. And over here on the left, obviously, we have a boatload of guys, right? You got Kirsten, Carlson, Potato, Ludwig, Gilton, Shaline, Ewan, Staios, Naus. I'm not so sure any of those guys are more than bottom pair guys right now. Maybe a Carlson or a Kierstead from what we've seen. So we have issues long-term, specifically on defense, because Mahura needs a deal. Now, you're not going to pay him a ton of money, but he's going to look from his play right now. Okay. I know he's an RFA, so we should be able to retain him. All right. But it's not going to come free. Mark Stahl has played well for us. Do we sign him to another 1-year deal and keep that ball rolling? I don't know. Then you get to the main 3 with Forsling, Aaron Ekblad, and Brandon Montour. Okay. And this just brings so many questions into play, because we are not going to be able to, I believe, there's no way we can keep the forward group together and sign Forsling, Montour to long-term deals, especially Forsling. Now, Montour probably is not going to, make as much as Forsling, but Forsling is, Aaron Ekblad's making $7.5 million. What do you guys think Forsling's worth? Okay, let me look over here again. Brandon Montour is getting 3.5, right? You got to figure Forsling's going to want 5? Or do you think Forsling's going to be like, I replaced Uyghur, I want Uyghur money? You never know. Defensemen especially. Look, Eric Branson just got 4 years, $4 million per. So defensemen, sometimes their salaries can be all over the place where you're like, what? On what planet is Eric Branson getting paid more than Brandon Montour? You see what I'm saying? So we have issues there. And then, of course, there's the biggest issue with Aaron Ekblad. And no move clause. And that's the thing. I know there's many of us who have said, man, we traded the wrong defenseman, right? We should have traded Ekblad instead of Uyghur with that deal. Number one, I'm not so sure we still would have been able to make the numbers work that way. But number 2, Ekblad's got a no move clause. He's one of the last faces of the franchise left now. All that's left basically is Barkov and Ekblad from what the core was supposed to be. And don't even get started on Barkov, because he's got a no move clause as well. So we have some longer term issues here. And I know the cap is going to go up, and that's probably what's going to be saving us, and why I kind of look at the possibility. I know people think we should maybe clear out, especially Reinhart. Reinhart's making 6.5. That's a lot for a guy that really is best suited to be on our third line, right? Now, he's playing well up on that top line right now with Barkov. I suppose you could leave it that way and, but you still have Duclair, right? So you're going to either way, you're going to have Reinhart, Kachuk, Duclair, unless we get rid of one of those guys. And it would be stupid of us to get rid of Duclair if he's healthy, because he's only making $3 million and he's basically, a bargain contract. And I believe he's only signed. Let me verify that. But I do believe, yes. No, Duclair's contract has got, he's signed through this season and next season. So add Duclair into the contracts needed after that. And if I come back over here, I believe Lundell. So next season, during the year next year, the guys that will be on the last year of their contract are Duclair, Reinhart, Lundell, Luosterainen, Lomberg, Forsling, and Montour. Holy hell in a handbasket. So next season, all of those guys will be on the last year of their contracts. So whoever we're going to really want to extend, you start looking at that maybe during this summer, right? And like I said, we haven't extended Gudas. That's a concern. Now, I know some people say, let Gudas go, maybe put Kanunen in there. But the point is that the more that I look at the long term, and then you take into consideration the fact with Ekblad's injuries and his no move clause, and Bob playing poorly and then not poorly, and poorly and then not poorly, and the Spencer Knight situation where we don't know what the hell is going on health-wise right now with this kid. The more that I look at it, the more I get a little bit depressed, because I'm looking at it, I'm thinking last year was really our shot. That was really our best shot. And I'm almost backtracking the backtrack in terms of Zito going for it last year. Last year, Zito just went completely boom, right? He just let it all go out there, right? We gave away this first, that first. And some of it was definitely overboard. So I agree with that. Like I've said, I'm okay with the Giroux move. The Sherratt move was bad. But looking forward now in terms of, at that point, not knowing what the cap's going to be and how many contracts we're going to need to sign, I can also see where Zito last year was thinking, you know what? This is our best chance. This is our shot, and let's roll the dice. So, to be continued. Now, if you looked at my roster at the beginning, the wingers, we do need a left wing. The point there for me is just go find another Verhaeghe, Zito. You found Verhaeghe, you found Forsling, you found Mahura. Go pluck another one of those guys who's going to be coming in here making $1 million, who you can plug in next to Bennett, who's going to fit perfectly, and then we'll pay him a couple years down the road. So that spot, now I know there's some guys that we have, some wingers that maybe could take that spot. That depends on what we're looking for as a team. If we want to be back in the cup conversation, we're going to need to do better than, maybe Cousins or maybe Luosterainen or whatever up there next to Bennett. We need a match for him on the left-hand side, okay? Much the way we've needed a match for Barkov on the right-hand side, we need a match for Bennett on the left. So we've got some serious issues here. Now, the last thing I'll say, and this is more of a question to you guys, because now Ekblad has a no-move clause. That doesn't mean he can't waive it. What do you guys think we could get for Aaron Ekblad, pretending that he would say yes to, maybe Zito comes to him and says, hey, kid, look, because are we going to sign him long-term again? By the time he goes to sign his next contract, he's going to be 29. And I hate to use the word damaged goods, but at what point does it become damaged goods? So I don't know if we're signing him to another long-term deal. So if Zito goes to him and says, hey, look, give me a list of 6 teams I'm willing to work with, we could clear some space that way, right? I don't think his play is at a point where we would have to give up assets. I still think we'd get something nice in return. But that might just be a giant wish list because he holds all the cards because of the no move clause. So, we're looking at it right now with cap hell, and this is definitely cap hell, but we are kind of entering extension hell, so to speak. Okay. The moment we're in right now, and then this offseason is going to be extension hell because there's a lot of guys whose last season is next season, and they're not guys who are you going to lose? Look at this. Let's roll this list one more time here. Let me scroll down. Okay. Florida Panther players. Let's go down the list. Okay. That next season will be the last season that they are under contract. Duclair. Don't want to lose him. Okay. Reinhart. Reinhart is probably somebody, if you're looking at trading a guy, that might be a move. Okay. I can see that. Lombard, man, get that kid extended. All right. Stop putzing around with 1 and 2 year deals. Get Lombard extended. Anton Lundell. Now he's an RFA. All right. So we hold a little bit more of the cards there, but still he needs an extension. Luosterainen, again, we need to get this. We did just extend it, but it's only a 2-year deal. So we're not playing with a lot of years here. Forsling, no way you lose him. Montour could be a casualty. Montour could definitely be a casualty. And then already right now this year, we've got Mahura, Stahl, and Radko Gudas. So we've been in cap hell, but as soon as that's over, we're going to be in extension hell because it's just you can't keep everybody. You can't keep everybody because the biggest salaries, 2 of the 3 biggest salaries with Barkov, then Tkachuk, then Ekblad, you can't move them. The only decent-sized movable salary piece that we have is Reinhart, and I would hate to lose him because that's pretty much waving the white flag. I don't believe you need to do that this year. But next year, there's going to have to be some decisions made. I don't see a way, you're going to keep Forsling, Duke, Montour, and Reinhart. I don't see it, but we never know how that salary cap is going to get raised. So I blame Zito less for really going for it last year because when you really start to look forward, because of the contracts we can't get out of, with Bob and Ekblad and Barkov. Not saying I would want to get rid of all of those contracts, but those are supposed to be, your top paid guys. Those got to be the guys that are really leading you. And Ekblad has been out and inconsistent. Barkov has been Barkov. Got no real complaints there. And then we know the situation with Bob. And when your highest paid players aren't really the guys leading you to the promised land on a consistent basis, it hurts. It hurts. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Look, I'm not saying I want to make any of these deals. I certainly don't want to say trade Sam Reinhart. If we were going to do it, wait for next year. If we were going to do it, wait for next year. I don't think we're so far out of it now that we shouldn't just keep this together because the money that we need to put things together with, if you need to say, trade Reinhart in the offseason to get some of these extensions done, okay. But right now, with the way the injuries have been going with this team, he is one of the guys that's been healthy and out there. Let's just put it that way. So I think it would be completely waving the white flag to make a deal with him now. Now, after the season's over, when you can start making moves again in the summer, with all the names that we have to sign in this season and next season, there's no name that could get moved with the exception of Tkachuk. That would shock me. And obviously with Barkov and Ekblad having no move clauses, that'd be a big surprise. But it wouldn't shock me. It would not shock me. And I don't have any knowledge. I'm not predicting it. But it wouldn't shock me to wake up one day this summer and say Aaron Ekblad waived his no move clause and he went wherever and we got something back. That would not shock me. It certainly wouldn't be like the Huberdeau trade where you're like, we did what? So stay tuned. All right. Appreciate all the support. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. And I think I'll record this podcast now. This should be fun. I'll see you guys